Greetings, this is Sharon Swing again. Thank you so much for your support of Listen to My Life and the One Life Maps podcast through Patreon. We're so grateful and we hope you enjoy these audio meditations. This one is from Mark 10, 46 through 52. It's from the Good News translation. And Linda Heaner and I are going to be doing this one together for you. Linda Heaner is the director of Abiding Hope Ministries, and she's a Listen to My Life facilitator that serves with a group of people under prison fellowship in the Minnesota Correctional Center at Shakopee, serving a bunch of women there. Hopefully you can hear that story on the podcast. I'll put a link to that particular episode of our interview with Linda in our show notes here today. Also, at the end of this meditation, there's some great reflection questions that you can use that are in the show notes as well. So for now, we'll get started.
Sit comfortably in silence with your eyes closed as we quiet our hearts and minds. As I lead through this Bible story, use your imagination that God gave you to enter the story as if you were there. Notice the sights, sounds, feelings, all that is happening. Holy Spirit, we invite you to speak to us now through this story.
As Jesus was leaving the city of Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd, a blind beggar named Bartimaeus was sitting by the road.
Picture all the people crowded around Jesus as they slowly walked down the road. Hear the noise of their steps, the buzz of their voices. It's hot and dusty. Feel the pressing in of the crowd as they try to get close to Jesus. Now notice blind Bartimaeus, sitting by the side of the road, begging. He may have been there a long time. Begging was the only way he could get money to live. Many people looked down on him. Many believed he was blind because he did something terribly wrong. Many people avoided him. Imagine how he felt begging day after day. Imagine how he felt never seeing anyone's face. Maybe some people in the crowd gave him coins. Maybe not. There's someone giving him a coin. Notice how he carefully puts it into his cloak.
When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me."
Bartimaeus was curious about all the noise. He asked the people passing by what was going on. When he heard Jesus was coming down the road, something came alive in him. This was the Jesus who heals people. He's nearby. How can I get to him? Maybe he can heal me. Feel his hope and courage rise as he does the one thing he can do. He starts shouting, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me."
Many of the people scolded him and told him to be quiet, but he shouted even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me."
Notice their loud, angry voices. "Stop making all that noise, you crazy beggar." Their mean words could have silenced Bartimaeus, but they didn't. This was the closest he might ever get to Jesus. This was his moment. This was his chance. He does the only thing he can do. He yells louder and louder, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Hear the anguish in his voice. Hear the pleading. "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me."
Jesus stopped and said, "Call him."
Imagine that. In the middle of this large, loud, jostling crowd, Jesus stopped. He heard Bartimaeus call. In all that commotion, he heard Bartimaeus' cry for help, and he stopped. Notice what Jesus did then. He called for him. Imagine Jesus with all these people crowding him. Jesus heard Bartimaeus and called for him. Imagine the crowd talking now. What's going on? What is Jesus doing? Why is he stopping?
So they called the blind man. "Cheer up," they said. "Get up, he's calling you."
Imagine how Bartimaeus felt then. Jesus heard me. He's calling me. He's calling me.
So he threw off his cloak, jumped up, and came to Jesus.
That cloak held all the coins he had collected all day. His money for food, his money to care for himself. Yet Bartimaeus threw off his cloak. He didn't want anything to slow him down in getting to Jesus. Imagine him groping his way over to where Jesus was. Maybe someone led him. Maybe people stood in his way. Imagine how Bartimaeus felt when he finally stood next to Jesus.
"What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus asked.
I wonder what went through Bartimaeus' mind when he heard that question.
"Teacher," the blind man answered, "I want to see again."
He said it. He said those words out loud. I want to see again. I want to see again. Of all the things he could have asked for, Bartimaeus knew this was his deepest desire. He thought he would never see again. But now, maybe. Notice him trembling, hopeful, and yet.
"Go," Jesus told him. "Your faith has made you well."
What does he mean? What faith? Calling out to Jesus at the top of his lungs? Taking the risk to go to Jesus when he called? Being willing to name his desire out loud, even though it seemed impossible?
At once, he was able to see and followed Jesus on the road.
Imagine Bartimaeus' feelings as he could see the people, the sky, the colors. Imagine his feelings as he saw Jesus for the first time. No wonder he followed Jesus down the road. Jesus had changed his life. He would never be the same again.